somebody. Yeah. People buy that time off you and they expect you to show up. So who has been to an Owambe or the other today? Can I get some feedback in the chat? How are we doing? How are we doing today? Oh, I can see that we have quite a varied number of nationalities here. So if you want to put where you're joining us from in the chat for me, please. Just put in the chat, tell me how you're feeling. You can use one word, you can use a phrase, you can use a sentence. That will be just fine. Busy day, but no Owambe, all right? It's cold in Zimbabwe. Oh, okay. Great. From Kwara State. Thank you. Thank you. So while you're putting those comments together for me, I really do appreciate the feedback. I just want to welcome you. Lazy Saturday. We like lazy Saturdays, don't we? If the week is going to be busy, yeah, then it makes sense that the is lazy. Well, it's lovely to have you here. Saturday is going well. No Owambes. Wow. Are Nigerians changing? Is something changing about how we spend our Saturdays? Yeah, joining from Johannesburg. Welcome. Cold in Ghana. That's interesting. Oh, okay. Please let me know. Is that normal? Zimbabwe and Ghana, is it normal for it to be cold around this time of the year? Maybe I'm the one unfamiliar with your climate. Please set me straight so I'm not so surprised. Trinity from Cameroon, welcome, welcome. Joining from Nairobi, Kenya, from Lagos. Going well, thank you. Good to know. Good to know. May is joining from Ogun State. Ogun is a big place. Where exactly in Ogun State are you joining from? Just to narrow it down a little bit. Thank you so much for those comments. I'm glad to know that you're doing well. Arekbo, all right. Lovely to you're on the fringes, yeah, of Lagos and Ogun State. It is lovely to have you here. Joke from Ikorodu, Adiambo from Nairobi, Kenya, from Lesotho, from Sierra Leone, from Abule Egba. Passionate educator. I love that. Aja. It's also called in Aja. All right. Ibuku is joining from Ibejuleki, Kutlo from Botswana, and it's freezing. Oh, I hope you're all warm. For everyone who is in a cold place, please have a hot drink close by so you can warm up from inside out. New Jersey, Zimbabwe, Lagos, Botswana, in Seychelles. That's interesting. Tanzania, Magodo, Namibia with the flag. I love it. Nelma from Maitama in Abuja, Aloysius from Satellite Town, Damilola from Lagos. Let's keep it coming. I am so excited that you are here. Yes, I was going to ask us to build the numbers in the room, but it's climbing already. So let's keep that going. Invite a friend, message somebody and say, "Where are you?" You're wrong if you're not in this meeting. All right. Swaziland, also known as Eswatini. Yes. John from Ogun State, from Accra, Magboro, Monilwa from South Africa, Freedom from Abuja, Stephen from Abuja. Fantastic. Fantastic. It is such a pleasure to have you here. You're in for a treat. Okay, let me just help you set that expectation. Rather than ask you what you're expecting to get out of this, allow me to clarify that you're in for a treat. All right, my name is Deshola Shoson, and I will be your host this evening. Like I said, it is a huge, huge pleasure to be here with you at this point in time. I've learned through my life and experiences and the knowledge of others that there are no coincidences. Really, everything happens for a reason. So you are here at this point today in this minute for a reason. Okay, and I believe along with you that you will get everything that you are supposed to get out of this session. All right, so the link is in the chat box. If you want to send that to somebody, just copy and forward it on. If you are not here, you are wrong, and that is the truth. All right, if you're chilling, chill here. All right. If you're frying fish, fry it here. Okay. Send those links to somebody, invite them in. Let's get as many people as possible in the room. Worry Delta, representing the great Worry. Welcome, Barrister Aluko from Lagos. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is such an honor to have you here. I'm going to give it a few more minutes and see if we can climb to maybe, let's see, let's even not even think small. Let's double the number. Let's see. If everybody invited somebody right here, right now, we would double that number. All right. So, to ensure that we have catered to people who might not be available, how about you forward that link to at least 5 people? And let's see if we can double the number of people in this room in the next 5 minutes. All right, let's test it. Let's test your popularity. Yeah, forward it to somebody, forward it to 5 people, and let's double the number of people in this room in the next 4 minutes. Counting down to the next 4 minutes. I don't think I've had 100 comments. So there are still some people who have not told me where they're joining from. Can you please let me know how you're feeling today and where you're joining us from today? Sandra from Abuja, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. It is lovely to have you here. Sandra is feeling pregnant. I hope you're well. I hope you're strong and I hope you remain strong all through the rest of the journey. Bless you. Thank you for doing the hard work of ensuring that humanity is sustained. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking that on. Lovely to know that, Sandra. Bukola from Lagos, Adejoke from Lagos, Atiza from Yes, I love that. BT is excited. She is in Kenya, but she is it a she? I just saw BT and my brain added you to that. So I apologize if I just added you to it and so I read it as beauty in my head. So if you are not a she, I apologize. BT is excited from Kenya. Let's be factual. All right. Amara from Ibadan, lovely to have you here. Massimo from Ethiopia. Shimilis from Ethiopia as well. Congratulations on that baby or that child. Congratulations. Cool. You're feeling cool and you're in Lagos. Amazing. Chinasa from Abuja. Jumoke from Ibadan. BT is a she. All right. It is lovely to have you here. Margaret is excited. Margaret is also known as Ewaoluwa, beautiful name from Aja. Bumi is joining us from Lagos. Dalila is excited from Maputo. Gerald Geraldine from Newark. That's New Jersey, is it? First time mom, amazing. And you're a stepmom as well. Oh, you're doing the Lord's work to that precious 5-year-old girl. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining. Jumai from Lagos. Jumoke from you're welcome, Ewaliwa. You're welcome from Jumoke, I beg your pardon, from Lagos as well. Newark is in New Jersey. I know my encyclopedia. What's that thing? My children like to read the atlas, so I know things, places that. Long story. Shedrack from UK, welcome, welcome. Kemi from Lagos. Lillian is from Tanzania and she's a first-time mom and an advocate for early childhood development. She's excited to learn today. I'm excited along with you, Lillian. Welcome. Mayowa is joining from Ibadan. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. The earth is literally shaking at this point. We're all, because of technology, receiving this at the same time, shining our lights in those little areas that we are and hoping to expand our influence. And I think that is amazing. Maya is joining from Ibadan. Asmeret is joining from Ethiopia. Geraldine is Abidemi is in Newark as well. Okay, in Newark as well. Nonye is in Johannesburg. Amazing. Amazing. All right, we have 1 more minute. Remember, we agreed on a goal together. I coerced you into a goal, that's fine, but you didn't complain. So your silence became consent, and we're aiming to double, but we've done very well. All right. We're 133 in the room, and I hope that people continue to join us. Tuning in from Kenya. Okay, this is interesting. You volunteered at a children's home and you reach out to less privileged kids in the community all under the organization Better Tomorrow Today. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you are doing. Abisola from Bonny Island, Damilola from Ile-Ife. Lagos for me is in Lagos. Ah, namesake in the building. Are you Deshola or Desola? Which one are you? Whichever way, we're namesakes and we're friends, just like that. Yeah, Deshola or Desola from Ibadan. Peace is in Onitsha. Majane, is that your name? Anyway, you're in Enugu, Nigeria. I can tell that that is Enugu is its location, but I'm not sure about the first word. But it is lovely to have you here. Ofyong is joining from Abuja, and Atoyebi is joining from Ibadan. Juma is in Lagos. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. It is a pleasure to have you here. If you've just joined us, I introduced myself earlier, but for you, I will do it again. My name is Deshala Shoso, and I will be hosting this conversation this evening. At this time, I am going to bring up our speaker. All right. But before PF comes on the scene, you are here to attend the VIP webinar, okay? VIP parenting webinar. And we have an alumnus in the room. Okay, I saw her earlier. We have an alumnus in the room who has gone through the program and she's here. I can promise you she has not been promised anything. She's not going to get anything out of this. She's going to tell you her own personal experience of this program. Okay, so Yomi, if you're ready, I'm ready as well. If you want to take the floor, can we please make Yomi feel welcome? She's going to share her journey on this program with us right here, right now. Carry on, please.
Good evening, Desola. Can you hear
Good
me?
evening. Yes, I can.
Okay, all right, great. Good evening, Desola. Good evening, PF. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited and glad to be here. Yeah, the parenting program. Yeah, that was a journey actually, but I'm glad I went on it. Um, so when I saw it and I decided to jump on the program, my number one reason was first and foremost to understand myself, um, and then understand myself as a parent. And that was the program helped me to realize that, to understand who I am as a parent in relation to my children. It also helped me to understand my kids, their personality. It helped me to understand, how to relate with them. It helped me to understand how to put together a family constitution, a family how would I call it? A sort of like a manual with which we work with, as a family. And one of the things that was actually key for me was how I realized that communicating with my children and explaining to them why I wanted them to do certain things or why I thought we should do certain things as a family in terms of value. It made a whole lot of difference. Prior to doing the program, it was just about most of the time it was just issuing instructions and commands, and it wasn't working because they would do it today and then tomorrow they are back to how they were. And I realized that it was probably because they didn't understand why I was asking them to do any of these things. But after going through the program, the conversation changed. So it was more like explaining to them why I thought this process was necessary, explaining to them why these values, why we do this as a family, why it's important that we do this as a family. And so that was really remarkable because it changed the whole trajectory of our relationship. It stopped me from having to shout too much. So now we could have conversations as opposed to, you know, dishing out commands and instructions. So the program for me was very holistic, helped me to become a better mom, uh, and it's helping my children to become better kids. It's a journey. We are still on it. We're still working through it day by day, working with our manuals, working with our constitution, reminding ourselves of the things that we've agreed to hold dear as values, as a family, and yeah, and we keep going. And I'm just really, really grateful that I was able to go through the whole process, and learn so much. I learned so much, and putting that learning into practice on a day-to-day basis. So yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. You covered everything. But I think the part that is sitting with me a lot more is that you recognize that it is a journey. And you can't go on a journey if you don't take the first step, right? A lot of us in this room are here to learn and pick up information on how we can take that first step so that we can get on that journey. All right. So fantastic. Thank you so much for that testimonial, Yomi. Thank you for sharing. All right. I hinted earlier that I'll be bringing up our main speaker for today. And it is time, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, to welcome PF, Praise for where we call him PF fondly, but it is time to have PF speak to us. Please let me have, or let PF have, but technically I will have your attention as well. So 100% of your attention needs to be here right now. Welcome, PF. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Desola. I hope I'm loud and clear. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. You guys did not clap for me.
We didn't clap.
Okay, guys, I'm super excited to be here with you. I mean, this is an amazing meeting, and I want to say thank you very much for showing up. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to use your registration link or sign in link to invite your friends and family because this conversation is very important. So if you have joined and you know family, friends, people, pastors, imams across Africa, or anybody you know who is parenting in Africa who you need to invite, please tell them I love you. So join this meeting right now because I'm going to be sharing a couple of things that I think will help us within the next 1 hour that I've been given to share. Right. So I want to appreciate all Africans represented here. My friends from Eswatini, from Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Mali, Burkina Faso, wherever you're joining us from. If I didn't mention your country, South Africa, Central African Republic, wherever, Ghana, Akwaba, I love you all, wherever you are from. Once you're an African, you are my brother. I live in Texas and I literally represent Africa. I carry Africa on my head everywhere I go. And I will not allow any system or anyone to put any African down because we are not as incapacitated as we've always been made to believe, right? When an African steps into a room, we come in with solutions. They say that we're loud. No, we're passionate. That's who we are. And we are unapologetic about it. We love fun. We love to dance. We love to play. And so we work hard as well. And that's what keeps us alive. I'm left to the world, we will be battling with depression. But hey, we keep dancing, we keep moving, we keep working hard, right? So thank you very much. I love you all. Okay, Joyce, Nigerian and Canadian. Okay, good to see all of you. I want to welcome you to this meeting. And so I am just going to share a couple of things that I think will help you, within the time frame that I have. So I'm a fast talker, so you will need to listen to these over and over again. But I'll try and slow it down so that you don't get confused. Okay, they always tell me to slow down. Well, the first thing I'm going to be sharing with you is my story. Parenting was not easy growing up. I grew up with parents where my dad was very strict and then my mom was very mild. My mom My mom was balanced. My mom is a typical, my dad was a typical African father. He was a priest, very, very tough, disciplinarian. My father does not know diplomacy. My father will correct you in front of everybody. I felt that kind of damaged my esteem. I was a victim of child sexual abuse at the age of 4. That went on for 8 years, and then by 8 years, I graduated from that school and I'd become a don myself, right? And it was I had terrible low self-esteem. I had all kinds of issues. Started smoking, started drinking, wild parties, and whatever you could think about. So I was quite tough and difficult, right? But guess what? In our home, they didn't know that. Outside, they knew it. But my mom knew I was bad, right? And then many years ago, after I had changed, I'd asked my mom, why she wasn't really bothered. And my mom said to me that, right, that she knew certain things about parenting that put her mind at rest. That because she was so sure of the foundation she had given me, that no matter how bad I went, she was so sure I was going to come back, right? And that's much more what I do right now. I am really, really burdened about Africa. When I started parenting, I mean, I have two children, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and my children are very hands-on. And when they can question you, but when people look at them, they see what they do. They say the fact that they live in Canada and they are cooking and they are doing stuff, they are doing their dishes without complaining, they do a whole lot of stuff, and then they can engage in a conversation without being disrespectful. People always ask me, how did you get to this point? You must have flogged them. I said, no, I never flogged my children. But I didn't start that way. I used to be that yelling, shouting, screaming, frustrated parent who every little thing you got to flog because that was what was done to me. And so, but I began to study and began to research how the greatest people in history were raised. I went into the history and I began to uncover secrets that could help people. And that was when I designed the out of the box parenting model, which a lot of people, thousands of people have used across different continents of the world. I'm still getting testimonials regularly of people who are taking my courses years ago. And so I know that the model will, but much more than that, I believe that Africa has got a lot to do. And one of the things that I have as epiphany is that I'm a professional to the core, and people who know me, they know that I don't really mix religion because I work with Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, and everyone. But there are times and specific moments that I think that God speaks to me. For example, before the advent of the LGBT, I had warned Africa maybe like 10 years before. They didn't take it seriously, but when the thing became a major issue, everybody came to me, but Praise, you said it, Praise, you said it. But then what I was doing was to prepare parents for how their children were going to handle this. And the good thing was that a lot of the parents who took the courses way back, their children were helped. As a matter of fact, I remember the Redeemers International School. I did a session for their parents, and then another parent, one of the parents went to another parent's house, and then while they were in the house, our two girls were talking to the 13, 14-year-old boy in the house of their host. They were in the room, and the boy brought out a penis, right? And to say, oh, that they should come and perform oral sex. And the two girls said, no, this is your private part. We have been taught that your private parts must be kept private. And they walked out, called their parents, and they left that house. So I have seen a whole lot of things happen. And I've also seen people neglected it, suffered the consequence sadly. I mean, I remember a woman walked up to our office and she caught two of her children that morning having sex. It was very sad story. And then, she had come for therapy and then we had to take them through 10 sessions at 20,000 naira then, which was like 200,000 naira. This was many years ago. And she had said to me, she said, Praise, I thought, because that was the period I had done a kit called Basic Sexuality Education Kit, what to teach a child about sex from 18 months to 18 years with songs, with games and everything. And it was selling for, I think, 6,000 naira then. And she said, oh, she was one of the people who said it was expensive when I was brought to Redemption Camp to come and talk to parents and said, Praise, see my life. I could have prevented this, but now I have to pay for reparation. Well, we are charged because therapy wasn't cheap then. It's still not cheap right now. So prevention is always better than cure. And so I am saying right now, and I'm sounding the alarm. And I hope you as an African in this room, you are going to pay attention, right? The good thing about warnings They're like prophecies. They have a way of coming to pass, right? If you don't do what I'm saying today, when it comes to pass, you will still hear it. You will remember it. When COVID hit, I was doing a strategy for a church 6 years before COVID. And I asked a simple question. What will happen if the world shuts down and nobody is able to do anything? The pastors told me outrightly, it's never going to happen. How can anything happen that will shut down the church? I said, what if it happens? Because I was looking through history and I realized that the world had shut down before many of us were born, right? And there was a generation that is shut down because of the Spanish flu. And then they told me it wasn't going to happen. When COVID happened, they all called me to say, what did you see? The only reason we didn't take you serious was because you did not say God told you, or you did not, and I started laughing. I am not someone who, intimidates people with God said. I don't do it. I'll talk to you with the language of men, normal language, right? But if you have the Spirit of God, whether Muslim or Christian, everybody has got it, you will read through me and you hear what I am saying. Now, I'll tell you, however, today, about a couple of maybe like late last year, we were praying, and because we felt, I live in America, and I see what happens to our African parents and their children when they move out here, and we saw where the world was going. And then there were specific words that we got in the place of prayer, right? And I'm going to read exactly the way it came, that it is the era of the lawless led by bullies, where what is right to many will be what is loud. And you can already see that happening, that what is right is now what is loud. And so teenagers and young adults can open their breast in Africa, and then they'll say there's nothing wrong with it, and their parents are saying there's nothing wrong with it, but we all know deep down that there's something wrong with it, right? An entire generation is about to be misled to their own doom because they are not grounded. Now, the power to ground a child in your values is in your hand as a parent, right? And so the liberal ideology will be taken to an extreme where the soul will take preeminence over the spirit. And so what is happening right now is that everybody has their own version of their truth. So you must have been hearing, this is my truth. This is my truth. So everybody has their truth, including the rapist. Everybody has got their truth that, okay, so what is the truth? The lines are going to be blurry because the truth becomes tough to decipher, right? Our job is to preserve the remnant of leaders who can match strategy with the spirit and stay in the palace of kings to prevent extremism. What I believe is going to happen is that a new generation of African children are going to be raised. They're going to be indispensable to the power blocks, right? They will be like Daniel's and Nehemiah and Esther and Joseph's, because kings will not be able to rule without them. But you see, it's not going to happen by chance. They've got to be prepared, right? And so they are prepared by training. Nothing happens by itself. When something happens by itself, it becomes an accidental discharge. I went for the first time to the gun range on Thursday. Gun range is in America where they teach you how to shoot a gun. And honestly, I ran out. I ran out when I didn't know how loud the gunshot was until that day, right? I was very close to it. I literally ran out, right? It was when they loaded my own gun, they now had to bring me back. They had to talk me back in to come and do shooting, right? And so I know what accidental discharge can do. Look at the leaders in Africa. None of them was intentionally prepared for leadership. And so we cannot keep complaining. Every time African nations complain about their leaders, I am asking the question, what family did he emerge from? Who were the people that parented him? So we need to raise a generation by training. But how can we train them when we have not been trained? Many of us are distracted by all sorts of gossip. Kim Kardashian, these people got married. One Tanzanian person got married to one Nigerian girl, and parents are distracted. But you see, in the midst of the distraction, it's time to bend down to work because the work is massive. Africa is going to produce giants who will bring balance. And I want to pray, I believe that those giants are going to come from your family. But you see, those giants must be awesome. If they are not awesome, they are going to plunge the world into an extremism of error, which is presently being modeled. Now, not every word I have shared tonight, because it's going to come to pass. You will remember if you don't prepare for this future. Now, having said all of this, The future is not far. The whole world talks about the future, which is 2045. Now there is 2090, there is 2100. But the nearest future that they talk about is 2045, which is about 20 years from now, thereabout. Now, in that future, they are looking at the new world order. Pay attention, I'm going somewhere. In the new world order, they are saying that Asia will be the dominant force driven by China and India. Everybody knows that the next two biggest economy in the world is going to be China and India. Right, that's already in motion. You can see almost all the Fortune 500 companies as an Indian CEO. China is the production factory of the entire world. China is leading in so many fronts that the world is not even aware, right? They are saying that Africa will be the rising giant fueled by youth and resources. Now, I did not put these words there. Now, just oppose this with what I shared with you just now. You can see that potentially Africa is poised to be the rising giant, but then it's going to be fueled by youth and resources. Now, I'll tell you the challenges of what this. It might look like a positive statement, it's a neutral statement. Now, it's fueled by youth and resources to do what really? Are they going to lead? Are they going to become the workforce of the world, which we've always been? We've always been the ones who had the workforce of the world, but we never benefit. America was built on the back of the black slaves. Yet Africans still needs to, be denied visas consistently to come into the same America, when our forefathers were the ones who actually built this nation. They built the bridges, right? And yet we are denied visas regularly. We can't even come in and go out as we like. And so right now, we are still the workforce of the rest of the world. In fact, I was reading that the capital of United Nations, part of their operation is moving to Nairobi, Kenya. And I know the Kenyans are a bit happy about it, but no, why are they moving? Cheap labor, right? And so that is the potential of Africa, but we will rewrite it. North America, a tech and military leader, but declining in relative power. Europe, a stable but aging player with niche in influence. This is in the UK, so she understands it. South America, a potential energy and food powerhouse. That's Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and the rest of them. Middle East, energy wealth, but limited long-term stability. Australia, wealthy and strategic, but not a major global player. Now, when it comes to global culture in 2040, Europe will likely lose its traditional culture. They are losing it already because of the invasion of various other cultures. North America will retain some aspect, but will be highly globalized. South Africa and the Middle East will have mixed outcome. I mean, South America and Middle East, mixed outcome, but still holding on to tradition. Asia and Africa will be cultural strongholds that will shape the future. Now, this is not even the words of God. This is global projection. And how do you know? Entertainment is what shapes culture. Arts and entertainment is what shapes culture. And so if you can hardly get on any Uber in America today and not hear one music from Africa. So our Afrobeat is permeating. I mean, Davido is doing tours around the US right now, is filling up every arena. People are paying so much money to go watch him. And so that we can define the future is not in doubt. The question is, what culture are we going to output to the rest of the world? Now, by 2045, Europe and North America will struggle to define their cultural identity, while Africa and Asia will be the dominant cultural influencers of the world. Now, if we're going to be the cultural influencers of the world, what is the culture we are going to be teaching the world? Is it the culture where we dance, but then we have a wrap of marijuana in our hands, right? Where we don't care what happens to the girls, how many girls are raped, how many girls are slept with, where we don't care if the girls are naked dancing and the guys are well cladded. What culture? Is it a culture of lawlessness, or we are going to also output or export a culture of competence, a culture of love, a culture of intentionality, a culture that defines who a proper human being should be, built on wholesomeness. Now, so they are saying that there's going to be emerging threats, however, before 2045. Number one is mental health crisis. Of course, in Africa right now, we're having a lot of mental health challenges, but then the mental health professionals is what ratio about 1.4 mental health worker to 100,000 families. Technology overload and digital addiction. Many of our young people are addicted to their phones. And if you look at the people creating the games, our young people are being distracted by, those people are in Korea. They are creating the games, and Japan. They are getting their children serious, creating the future. Our own people are distracted watching those games. Economic instability and job market shift, social isolation and weakening community ties. Africa says it takes a village to raise a child, but our communities are disintegrating. It breaks my heart when I see South Africa chasing Nigerians out. Nigerians even fight, Yorubas are fighting Igbos. I mean, we are just divided and fighting ourselves when we should unite as Africa to say, who is an African? What does it take to raise a child in Africa? What must we all learn? And how do we raise the African child wherever we see them, to say that there is no difference between South Africa and Lesotho, no difference between Kenya and Nigeria, no difference between Ghana and Cameroon? It's one Africa where we forge together to create the future. Global uncertainty and societal polarization, academic pressure, and perfectionism. These are the emerging challenges. Now, but you see, we can't go forward without going backward. How many of you actually knew that Africa was once a global power? As a matter of fact, Africa was the first ever global power in history. Africa, right? And so, if Africa was the first global power in history, what exactly happened? What exactly happened, right? What exactly happened to us? Now, if you go through history, and I want you to look at history and benchmark what is happening right now. Now, the first global power was ancient Egypt between 3100 and 30 BCE. It was the world superpower. Egypt created cultural influence. They had Egyptian philosophy, religious belief, arts influenced them. They literally influenced the Roman and the Greek Empire and beyond. Scientific and technological leadership. Ancient Egypt was pioneer in medicine, engineering, mathematics, and writing. The first writing in the world is called hieroglyphics. That was in Egypt. That was where Moses was. Now, but how did Egypt fall as a global power? Internal strife. Before invasion of the part of the Greeks and the Persians, they had started fighting from within themselves. Started saying, it's our own turn. They split along ethnic groups. After Egypt fell, there were other great African empires, like the Kingdom of Axum, the Ghanaian Empire, and the Malian Empire. Malian Empire produced, their king was reputed, Mansa Musa was reputed to be the richest man who ever lived. Mansa Musa was building a city, but he had so much money and so much gold that when he was going to Saudi Arabia, he spent money that the economy of Saudi Arabia collapsed. But what brought down those kingdoms? Succession, internal struggles, internal conflict, all of them. It's internal conflict, which means they imploded from within. That is what you still see. We are imploding from within. We hardly ever collaborate. We are always against ourselves. So you see what we're doing? We're fighting over Nigerian rice versus Senegalese rice or Kenyan jollof. We are fighting ourselves. Nigerians must leave Ghana. They must leave South Africa. They must. And so those ones too, within Nigeria, they keep fighting themselves. So we are killing ourselves. So how do we even check what we're doing right? How do we come together to raise our children together? When we say it takes a village to raise a child, how do we ensure that when a Lesotho child go to South Africa, they are protected because they are African? How do we ensure that when a South African or when an Eswatini child comes to Nigeria, he can feel at ease, and live his life with peace because he's African? And so the thing is, how can we script the future when we haven't broken free from the past? Because while the present is parenting, the future is ancestry. The whole world is moving away from what we know as parenting right now. They are moving towards ancestry. Africa has still not conquered parenting. We have still not even figured it out. And so it becomes very important for us to know that the previous people, There were mistakes that they made, right? Our parents, there were mistakes they made that didn't give many of us a head start. We don't have to always begin a new generation afresh, which is what we always do, right? Your parents, they live their life. What did they hand over to you? I don't know anybody here that your parents handed over to you a conglomerate. If you are here, they handed a conglomerate to you. That is, they handed the business that was a unicorn, maybe worth $1 billion to you, right? That when you lacked nothing, right? Everything was provided for you. Can you type yes? If they didn't hand over anything, maybe they handed debts to you, or they didn't hand over so much wealth to you, can you type no? Let me know the people in the room, right? What mistakes did they make? Now, but you know the interesting thing, you cannot blame your parents. If you want to blame your parents, you will be shocked that you are already making the mistakes they are making. So you can see it's no, 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 no for many of us. But you see, many of the things you blame them for, your children are already blaming you for them, right? The moment your children begin to blame you for what you blame your parents for is the clearest proof that nothing has really changed. And so somebody said they ended the trouble, right? Now, the first thing I want us to do is to quickly take a simple assessment, right? And the assessment, you don't have to lie about it. Just be very, very honest about this. It's a future assessment. The assessment tests whether you are ready for what is ahead, because I told you the world is moving from parenting to ancestry. It's just testing. So don't be too serious and don't blame yourself. So it says, kindly rate each of the statements below to know what you believe by using 0, strongly disagree, 1, disagree, 2, neutral, 3, agree, 4, strongly agree. So if you read the statement, there are just 10 of them, right? If you read a statement there, right, and then you are, the statement is absolutely correct, that's strongly agree, that's 4. If it's correct, not absolutely, that's a 3. If you are neither here nor there, that's a 2. If you disagree, if it's not correct, 1. If it's not absolutely correct, 0. Okay, so let's go, right? And then whatever you score, you will now add it up, right? It will show you exactly where you are. Number 1, you check your family right now. We have a well-articulated and documented family legend that your kids understand. That if I ask your kids about your family legends, they can tell me your story up until the 4th generation, right? So answer the statement. Put a figure in there. Please put it in your note. I only need the final answers. Number 2, our kids are familiar with our ancestry from the 4th generation, so they can tell me the story of the great-great-grandfather. Number 3, we have a family handbook that gives a clear direction of how our family runs. That if I come to your house today, I can literally know how your family runs by your family handbook. Number 4, we have a uniform parenting charter that was designed by us. That means if you're married, you and your husband, you have a clear parenting charter that was designed by both of you. Number 5, we have a family vision that everyone in a family can recite and explain. That if I come to your family today, everybody knows your family vision and they can recite it and explain it. Number 6, we have a family educational system that was created to produce the desired outcome in our own children. That is, apart from the school that they attend, you have your own domestic educational system that you have created for your children to become who they need to become. Number 7, our family routine and rituals are in alignment with our family vision. Number 8, we have a generational charter of the outcome we expect from our descendants long after we are gone. That is, you have a plan that transcends your existence. Number 9, we have a family system that runs by itself in our absence. Number 10, we consider ourselves to have totally healed from our childhood trauma, if you have any, right? Now, this assessment actually tests where you are right now. Now, many of the empires that was built, many of the greatest people you know, this was the were the areas of alignment that they knew that helped them build. So it's to test exactly where you are, whether you are ready, totally ready, averagely ready, or not ready. Okay, so let me see your final. You add up all the scores, and then let me see your final scores. Let me see your final score. Somebody says scoring 0. Scoring 0. Okay, 12 averagely ready. not ready. Betty, averagely ready. Let me see, never ready. Not ready at all. Okay. If you scored 0, is okay. Don't worry. We'll teach you how to. In the next 1 year, when you are when you are writing this assessment, you should be scoring totally ready. Okay. Not ready. Ewalu are not ready. 12-0. Nobody is scoring 40 here. Nobody is scoring 31. You guys should not break my heart. Not ready. Not ready. 12. Averagely ready. Yeah. um 0 out of 10. Okay, so it's looking like nobody's even ready here. And I have 107. Okay, 2 averagely, 20 averagely ready. That's not bad, Kemi. 9 not ready. Okay, so it's looking like people are not ready. Okay, and it's not bad. I mean, I'm loving the fact that you are very honest with yourself. Somebody said we are still thinking of feeding the kids. Okay, it's well. I just joined. Okay, and it's not bad wherever you are, right? It just means that already you know that something needs to change as a matter of urgency. So all of you that is scoring not ready, if you have scored less than 31, then it's a state of emergency. You need to do something as a matter of urgency. Now, because you now need to take a decision. Do you want to remain in not ready and pass not ready to your children? Or are you the one that God has chosen to rewrite the history of your entire ancestry and change everything going forward? If the past does not look good, somebody has got to take responsibilities for the future, right? And so it's okay that you now, at least you are aware. Your parents were not aware that they were not ready. You are now aware that what you're doing right now cannot build the future, right? And so we will need to do something about it. So follow me carefully. Now, if you don't like your report, right? Truth is, many of our kids are turning out so well, but the percentage presently distracted across the world is scary, and that's why we must arise as a people. So follow me carefully. Now, we need to begin to move from trial and error to intentional parenting. Now, the truth is, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were examples of Christian kids who traumatized the world to show that prayer must be backed by knowledge. We are praying. Let my children turn out right. Adolf Hitler's parents were prayer warriors. Joseph Stalin's parents were prayer warriors. But they did not build the right system like Martin Luther King Jr.'s parents did. They prayed, but they built a framework. And that was the turning point in the lives of these people, right? So you need to understand that we cannot just be waking up to pray and pray and pray for the children when we are not creating the right environment. A child is like a seed, right? If you don't plant the seed in the right soil, if the conditions are not right, it's going to produce stunted growth regardless of your prayers. And so if we don't raise a wholesome generation of happy children, the future is at risk. This means we must move from trial and error to intentional parenting and build a system that can produce wholesome results. Now, there are 5 common mistakes African parents have made over the years that has enslaved us, and how we need to free our child. The number one parenting mistake we have made is, number one, many of us don't have a sense of well articulated identity and history. And what does that mean? If I ask you for the identity of your heritage or your lineage, many of us don't know. If I ask many of you, and I'm going to ask you all today, what is the name of your great grandfather? That means the one in the 4th generation before you were born. Do you know his name? If you know his name, put it on the chat box. If you don't know his name, just put I don't know. Okay, no idea. Okay, put no idea if you don't know. Okay, Ogochi knows. Okay, Debola says Shobande. Somebody said I know Bushiri, no idea. Okay, no idea. Olukotsu, no idea. No idea. Your great great grandfather, that's the man in the 4th generation. So quite a number of people have no idea, right? So if you don't have an idea, how does your own family now create an identity? And that is part of the mistakes because they have denigrated. I mean, I'm wearing a Benin necklace. When I was younger, I was taught that this guy is an idol. I should distance myself away from it. But as I grow older and I trace my roots, I realize that this is King Iwari. King Weware was the one who built a sophisticated city in Benin City and made Benin Kingdom one of the most sophisticated kingdoms in the world. Now, that was so the story that was told to me as a child and the story I discovered as an adult are totally different. Now, if you don't have a sense of articulated identity and history, the identity and the esteem of your children is in trouble. And that's why many of us are still battling with low self-esteem, because you don't exist. That's why you can't be yourself, because somebody else is driving a car, or because somebody else is wearing something or using the perfume that is not your kind of perfume or something you can afford. It's because, you see, you call it low self-esteem. It is actually a problem of loss of identity and history. Number two is no generational agenda. A lot of African parents don't have a generational agenda. So if I ask your family, for example, did your father tell you about his 100-year plan for your family? Right? Did your father tell you that, oh, there is a 100-year plan for this family? This is who we're going to become in 100 years' time. We don't think that way. We think about next year. God, let me live alive. Let me stay alive. Let me stay alive. God, let me see next year. Ember month, next month now. Oh, let me see the end of the year. One year is not good enough. If you Google today, what will happen in the year 2100? Information is already there online. Information is there as we are talking. There are people who are projecting into the next 150 years. They are not going to be alive, but their children can see the blueprint and run with it. So no generational agenda, and a people without a generational agenda will perpetually be slaves to people who have a clear generational agenda. And that takes me to number three: ineffective family systems for effective child scripting. Africans don't have the framework that can script a child for success. Everyone is accidentally successful, or you have to look at the way you can be successful in Nigeria or any African country. One of the first ways is you need to get close to those in power. If you don't know the people in power, you are not likely going to get the best job, no, regardless of how competent you are. And that is an anomaly. You should be able to step into a nation and, based on your hard work, become anything you might want to be. That is not possible in many African countries, because one person has owned everything. And then, so everybody has to bow. No matter your intelligence, you have to bow to the incompetent. I mean, Nigeria's last president, God rest his soul, if you look at that situation, when he was contesting election, he tendered primary school certificate or primary school certificate to be president of Nigeria. His vice president was a professor. So professor was vice president to primary school certificate. That's the way we roll. So ineffective family system for effect. So we don't have the system that can script people for success. Because if your family is built on system, your children will stand the test of time everywhere they go. And that takes me to number four: lack of disciplinary options, thereby traumatizing a child. Right? Many of us, we don't have disciplinary options. The only thing we know to correct a child is to slap the child, is to beat the child. I've never beaten my child, lay hands on them in over 10 years. Right? Because the moment I learned what is called perceptual code, I found other ways. I learned that, see, my parents beat me, but it didn't solve any problem. Really, it didn't stop me from smoking. It didn't stop me from joining bad group. It didn't stop me from sleeping around. It did not. It wasn't the beating, right? So lack of disciplinary option. Many of us have been traumatized by our parents, and we're traumatizing our children. So does your family have a clear disciplinary system? And that takes me to number five mistake we make: individualism as against systemic collaboration. Even though we say, oh, it takes a village to raise a child, we are not raising our children in the village way. Gone are the days when, I went to the casino to go and gamble, and someone saw me there, and he told me immediately, your father does not come to a place like this. Get out of here. That is collaborative parenting. But right now, if you correct other people's children, their parents can come and fight you. So everybody is just so confused, right? And so we have moved from a village system to an individual system where we don't care what happens to other people's children. What we care about is that your child has come first in the class. right? And so it's come first position. And so you don't care about your children's friends who did not pass the course. So these are the 5 common mistakes African parents make. But the question is, what is God calling your family to do? Because every family has got a clear message. Every family has got a purpose. Every child being raised, you need to know when humanity starts to complain to God, either through grumbling or through prayers, God answers the prayer by planting a seed in the family. So your child is an answer to a prayer. Your child is a solution to a problem. Your family, there's a reason. The family, the dysfunctional family of Jacob, is what became the nation Israel. God told Abraham, through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. What is God calling your own family to do for him? Now, before we understand that, there are 6 beliefs that you need to uninstall if your child's success isn't going to be left to chance. Many of us have some funny beliefs which has sabotaged us, which has not helped us, and we are likely going to pass it to our children, right, if care is not taken. And here are the number one of those beliefs. My child is dedicated to the Lord, therefore God will raise him. If I ask you, do you know any child that was dedicated to the Lord who turned out badly? If you know, type I. The child was prayed for, he was taken to church when he was born, but it still turned out badly. Can I see an I if you know any child like that? Okay, good. So you know someone. Does it mean that prayers did not work? No. The problem is we always think that prayer is just, they lay hand on the child, somebody said them choke. Prayer is alignment of your words, thoughts, and action. So for prayer to be effective, your words must align with what you're thinking. It must align with your action. Where did we learn child dedication from? From the Israelis. Israel does child dedication, but Israel has a 14-year curriculum for parenting. At the end of the 14 years, they do a festival called Bat Mitzvah. Bat Mitzvah is where you put your hand on your child to say, this is my beloved child. I have raised him properly. I can vouch for him. How many parents today can vouch for their 14-year-old to say, I have properly raised this one. I know what to expect. If you do it, you are just going to be sold if care is not taken. Right? So Israel does not just pray. Israel has an intentional system. So many of us, we just pray and then we pray some more and then we pray some more. You pray for a child, but you go home and tell the child you are stupid. You pray for a child, but you go home and go and slap him. You pray for a child and then you are perpetually afraid. Hey, what if my child goes out? Hey, this child must not go out. So your fear is paralyzing the answers to your prayers. Number 2 belief that we need to uninstall is if you don't beat your child, the child may not become disciplined. It's because we don't even understand the word discipline. The word discipline is the word discipleship, right? Is the word groom, is the word train. Within the ambit of discipline, there's no yelling, there's no shouting, there's no beating. Beating is found in the realm of punishment, which is the Latin word punire, to avenge and to inflict pain, right? But many of us, when we hear discipline, in fact, the concept of discipline is to groom, to get the best out of. Now, many of us will say, we turn out well. Our parents beat us. We turn out well. How well did we really turn up? Are we the ones innovating solutions for the world? Are we the ones ruling countries? When we say we turn out, were we disciplined or we were domesticated? Right? Many of us were domesticated, but we think it was discipline. If people are disciplined, will have confidence in themselves, they will be able to stand against evil, regardless of who it is. Domesticated people, they hate evil people, but they praise them because they are their leaders. Right? And so, if you don't beat a child, the child may not become. It's not true. Did God beat Jesus? There are ways to raise a child, right? That you don't even see, you don't need to, because what you want to do is correct a behavior, not to necessarily inflict pain. And number 3, I can't control my anger because these children don't listen unless you shout. Okay, where are the association of shouting parents? Can I see a hi? If you are as part of the association of shouting parents, you shout all the time. Can you type a hi? Okay, good. You guys are here. I'm clapping for you. You are welcome in the name of the Lord. I can see all over you the glory of the Lord. Shouting parents, right? Why do we shout? You say you can't control your anger because your children don't listen unless you shout. It's a belief. My sheep hear my voice, the voice of the stranger they will not hear. Now, Dr. Mike Murdoch said, trapped in every child is a king and a fool. The one you speak to is the one that responds to you. Many of us don't have respect for these children, so you talk to them anyhow, and so they are rebelling. The moment you are talking to your child, is not listening to you, and you have to shout, the child is rebelling against something. And what is rebelling against, we don't bother to find out. Many of us think that these children, they are doing nothing. So let me give you an example. Your child is playing a game. You don't like the game, right? He's playing a game. And some of their games, they are hunting a particular enemy. He's trying to kill the enemy. He spent like 2 hours trying to pursue the enemy. The enemy has been beating him. Now, at the point he's about to shoot the enemy, that's when the devil will now use you to call him to come and do one task. How do you think he's going to feel? Right? If you were in this position, how would you feel? But you don't care. So instead of saying, oh, Chooks, please, can I take 5 minutes of your time? Then Chooks can say, oh, mom, please, can I come in 20 minutes? There's something I'm in the middle of. You don't want to care. When your parents are coming, you have to come. Da, 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 da. And before you know it, the child stops listening to you. It's because deep down, emotionally, the child feels disrespected. Aha. Or the child he wants to watch a sport. You only have one TV. How many of us used to feel bad when it's 9 p.m. when you were younger? Because some of you have programs you want to watch in another station. But your parents, 9 o'clock is when they want to hear the news. And we don't like the news. There's a particular funny sound if you grew up in Nigeria. That's NTA news. Very annoying sound. That sound, when some of us hear it, is traumatizing. It traumatizes you. Because there is another program that you should be watching. You were not happy with your parents. You could almost curse them, but you couldn't say. Exactly how your children feel when you are, not caring about what they care about because you are their parent. And so they stop listening and then you are angry. I don't shout on my children. No, I don't. And that takes me to number 4. We must keep an eye on my child at all times, lest they misbehave or join bad groups. So this person becomes an umbrella parent. The child is 14, but the child cannot go out by himself. The child is 16, but he cannot go and visit a friend or go play with his friend because you are perpetually afraid, right? I left the house at 17. My parents did not follow me to the university. They didn't even know. My parents did not know where my university was till I graduated. And I was there for 5 years. They didn't know, right? My mom just said to me, son, I trust you. I know you're matured enough, and I know that you're able to take care of yourself. But many of us, we don't trust our children. You have 12-year-old, 13-year-old, they can't cook, they can't do anything, and you say they're African kids? I don't understand. And because you are perpetually, what if they kidnap them? Are you aware that kidnapping is not a new thing? When we were younger, there were kidnappers, and there were no mobile phones. And then you went out at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, and you came home by yourself. But then you are now 16-year-olds who cannot go out by themselves. You are the one killing these children. And that takes me to number 5. You hear things like, nobody has a parenting template because we don't know tomorrow. It's not true. Parenting template has been researched. I just made you run an assessment that all the people that built empire, all of them, that was the template they followed. Everybody of them, Bill Gates, that's the template they followed. Their parents followed, right? And so when people make this statement, it's an ignorant statement. Because there is a template, if you look within, you will find it. And if you put those systems in place, generations unborn, your children will learn them by observation, and then they will replicate it. That's why Indians are replicating results. But somebody will stand and say, nobody has the parenting template. God is just doing it anyhow. No, 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 no. No, Moses knows the ways of God. The children of Israel, the acts. The people that celebrate the acts are ignorant people. The leaders know the way. And that takes me to number 6, where you say that I must distance myself totally from my heritage because it is demonic. That's one of the lies the colonial master sold to Africa. They told you some of the artifacts were demonic, but they stole them to their museum, right? They told you, in fact, for those of you who are from Nigeria, the western part of Nigeria, and then you call Eshu the devil, in your history, Eshu is not the devil. And many of you don't know, but they had to sell it to you. So I will tell you the history today. Now, Eshu, in your culture, was actually the messenger of God who God sends on errands to go and punish his enemies. So when people offend God, God sends Eshu to go and avenge. And so Eshu was a loved deity in your culture. That's why some families were answering names like Eshubi, that is, Eshu gave birth to this. Right? If it was a devil, if it was Satan, nobody would associate with him. Right? So they had names, that is associated with Eshu. But how did Eshu become a bad person? When Christianity came to Africa, they noticed that Eshu was the deity that Yoruba people did not give up worshiping. So when Samuel Ajayi Crowther was writing the Bible, he was looking for a way to eliminate the worship of Eshu. And so what did he do? He changed Satan in the Bible. Everywhere he saw Satan, he turned it to Eshu. So when the people discover they are reading the Bible and then they get to Satan and Eshu is the Satan, that was how the worship of Eshu stopped in Africa. Go and check your history. Right? So many of you, they've taught you not to bother about your ancestry. Jesus, Matthew chapter 1, he was full of his ancestry. There was a prostitute in his ancestry, Rahab. There was another guy who impregnated. They did not hide these things. Your ancestry is a history of how far you have come. But many of us don't know this, and so you distance yourself. So I will give you an example. I was working with a lady who was being molested. Yes, Eshu is not Satan. Yes, I said so. Right? Ashetani is Satan, not Eshu. Okay? So there was a lady I was working with who was going through divorce. And this lady, I'd run an assessment and we're doing a debrief. And I simply asked her to tell me the history of her ancestry. And she said she didn't know anything, that she only knows her grandfather. That her grandfather was an artisan in a particular village, then her father, and then she just shared that with me. And so I said to her, can you go find from your father who the man in the 5th generation was? Instinctively. Because this lady was being beaten by her husband. So she went to ask her father. Her father asked his own father. That man didn't know so much. So they had to go back to their village and ask someone. Then they now found out for the first time that the village they claimed was their village was not their village. That the man in the 5th generation was a king. He was a royalty in another village. Now, the man in the 4th generation became a Christian. And so because he was told that he cannot join Christianity and kingship, he ran away when it was time for him to be king and went to another city and settled down in that new place and became a normal person, dissociated from his kingship royal heritage. And that was the person that gave birth to the great-grandfather, who gave birth to the grandfather, who gave birth to her father, who gave birth to her. When she discovered that, she came back to me and she was crying. And you know why she was crying? Because if she had been born, please, if you have questions, wait till question time. If she had been born as a princess, there is no way she would have said yes to that guy that she married. So you can see how many of our identity has been compromised because we dissociated from our heritage. Because someone lied to you that your background was demonic. If they say your background was demonic, that was the understanding of God they had in that age and time. You can't fault them for it, right? But then so many of us have been totally cut off that we don't know who we are anymore. If you don't know who you are, what do you hand over to your children? And so there is a 3-step formula to building a fail-proof parenting system in this age and time. I'm going to stop and take your questions maybe in about 15 minutes. The first thing you want to do, okay, is, in fact, before I go here, if you have been learning anything, so far, can you type yes? Let me see that you guys are learning something. Sandra is suspecting. Okay, you guys are learning. You guys are learning. You guys are learning. Fantastic. I'm loving it, and I'm loving that we're able to do this. This is what we can do for Africa. Fantastic. Good. The first thing you need to do is you need to dig deep into your ancestry and recover your superpower. I say this to every African. You cannot parent successfully 100% if you don't know the superpower that resides in your heritage. You cannot. If you look back, because the way forward is the way backward, I had to look back and I dig deep. And I realized that I'm from the palace, right? I'm from the palace. I didn't know that. Now, what does that mean? There's royalty in my blood. And then I noticed that everyone in my heritage, they are mostly teachers, right? They literally give direction for people. Now, I have a son right now who is studying psychology, right? And I'm asking him, and he's saying to me that I want to bring healing to the world. All of you have superpower. If you mention some families, mention the agricultural post, you know it's activism, right? Mention some families, you know it's industry. Some of you, if you check your heritage, there's industry there, right? One lady told me, he said, we don't associate with our heritage because our father was a slave trader. I said, slave trader in that age and time is equivalent of international businessman. There is international business in you. And she said, Praise, you are correct. I've always wanted to export things. So that superpower is in you, but she started to doubt it because she didn't know. If you don't know the superpower that is in your heritage or that is in your lineage, there is nothing you can hand over to your children. Right? You can't. Because that is where their identity lies. They do it effortlessly. There is something you do effortlessly. The only problem is that you have not built a business around it. So it's a journey backward. And that takes me to number 2. You need to heal from your personal trauma and become wholesome. You cannot parent effectively without wholesomeness. Thank you very much, Pastor James. Say we're teachers, right? You cannot, so it means you can set up an academy, you can set up a school. The gift and the calling of God is without repentance. Even when your forefathers did not know Jesus or did not know Muhammad, that gift was already there. So number 2 is you need to heal from your personal trauma and become wholesome. Some of us, the healing is mental. You need to uninstall all the nonsense that we have been taught. And I am comfortable in any room as an African. My children are Africans. I tell them, you're not Canadians, you are Africans, right? They have these beads. They wear it. I said, let's remind you that you are royalty. So when they do something and I'm upset about it, I don't shout and scream. I only ask them, who are you? Say, well, I'm a royalty. So the royalties do what you have just done? No. So why did you do it? We are having conversation because you want them to self-initiate the change so that they can self-sustain it. So many of us need to go through proper healing. And trust me, it's not just God heal me. You need to analyze your pain. You need to change the meaning. And you need to take steps in the direction of wholesomeness in a way that you are proud of yourself. And see, there is no esteem issue in me. I have no low self-esteem at all. There is nothing anybody is doing that gets me worked up. I'm on my own journey. And my journey is valid and my journey is clear. Right? And that takes me to number 3. Number 3 thing is you need to now create a framework and system that transform your present and the future of your descendants. I was teaching a class in Canada 2 weeks ago, and I asked them to project what will happen to their descendants in 50 years' time. No, in 500 years' time. And none of them could see it. And I started laughing at them. I said, are you aware that where you are today, someone wrote that history before you were born? There was somebody's mistake that defined your struggle right now. But you see, your right standing can define the bliss of the people who will be born 200 years after you are gone. Because I went to a place called Missouri, and they took me through a research center. They were showing me animals that are 60 million years old. Their bones that they excavated from the back of that place. They showed me the place, right? 60 million years old. So when people say, oh, the world would have ended, that was how the people who were also before us said the world would have ended. We don't know when the world is going to end. So If your family is going to be in existence, you plan as if you are living tomorrow, but you also plan as if they're going to be here for the next 1 million years. You can redefine that future, but you have got to either be selfish or you've got to take a stand, right? You've got to create a framework and system that transform the present. So first you have to deal with yourself and say, you know what? I first need to gather knowledge. But beyond knowledge, I now need to begin to build systems and frameworks. Now, from there, I can now project into the future. So when you hear people say, oh, we have a family constitution, every family needs a constitution. Every family needs a family handbook. Every family needs a family culture. Every family must be built on system. See, many of you read the Bible. The family of Jacob was a dysfunctional family by all standards. Married two sisters, slept with their housemates, and then produced 13 children from them, 12 boys and one girl. But that same family is the family God used to become the nation Israel. So you can become the deciding factor that when the history is written, it will be told that in the year 2025, somebody wrote, Brenda rose in this ancestry and redefined the future. Abidemi Agbola rose and redefined the future. Abigail Chukwuma rose and redefined the future. You know, that's what should be said about you. Abdurrahman rose and redefined the future. Those are the three things you need to do. But you see, as I wrap up this, before I take your question, for you to build that future, there's an entire framework we started teaching last year, right? And so the roadmap, if you can do it for yourself, is fine, right? But we've helped a whole lot of African families come together and rebuild and re-audit and re-engineer their family forever. Because it starts with house cleaning. You first have to clean your house and audit what is going on. Number two, you need to understand personal parenting transformation. That you have some pain in you that you need to uninstall. Right? Step three, you need to understand parenting and beyond parenting, because the world is moving from parenting to ancestry. That needs to be clear, and you need to create a framework. Step four, you need to discover your child and to script your child. So there is a manual called child scripting. It's called the user's manual of your child. Anybody working with you to raise your child needs to have that user's manual. If your child is going to a school, you go and sit with the teacher of your child and say, this is who my child is, because some schools have damaged some children because they don't know who the child is. If you bring your child to America or Canada and your child is jumping up and down, they may diagnose him of ADHD. If you don't check the user's manual of your child to the teacher and say, oh, my child is new in your school, this is who he is. When he does this, this is what it means. When he does this, it does not have any problem. This is an African child. That's what it is. Not having that has caused a lot of parents. And you know what they begin to do? They make you medicate your children. And many children have been damaged. Then you go from there to creating the right environment. You now begin to learn how to build system, because the seed cannot grow well if the environment is not right. This is where you audit yourself, you and your husband, or if you're a lone single parent. So now say, okay, what do we need to stop? What do we need to start? We take a tour around the house. What do we need to remove? If we say every child is a royalty, this house is a palace, should we be eating like this? Should we be doing this like this? That is when you do that. Then you go to effective parenting and family communication. So based on our family vision, how must we talk to ourselves? How must we correct ourselves? This is where you eliminate shouting and yelling. Then you go to family development matrix. How do we create an educational system in this family that ensures the thinking faculty of every product of this family? If you sit with my children, we're having a devotion on Friday, and then we're talking about the earthquake that happened in Russia and how it has triggered tsunami. Then my son explained the scientific process to us. We were just looking at him and we're taking notes, right? And it was because when they were younger, we created a family curriculum called the royalty that is different from what they were learning at school. Every day, I showed them a video, and then we had conversation, and they made presentation. Family development matrix. If you don't create this, your children will be exposed to all kinds of movies, all kinds of games, all kinds of stuff like many of us were exposed to, because our parents were not intentional in what we consume. Then you move from there to create a family recreation and relaxation system. How do we rest in this family? How do we ensure that we're fine? How do we ensure that our health is optimum and that we don't compromise our rest? Then you go to creating an effective constitution. How do you create a family constitution? This is where you do it. Then you go to domestic management system audit and implementation. How do we ensure that when people step into our space, they know that this is the Chukuma space? How do we create a style that when our children get married, they will carry the same style to their home, their children's children will carry? This is where you build transgenerational culture. Domestic immigration system. How do we ensure that no child becomes a victim of child sexual abuse? No child is molested? How do we ensure that domestic terrorists don't live in our home? This is where you design that system. Finally, from family to tribe, how do we move our family to becoming a tribe and create cultural integration such that annually we have our Founders Day? Annually, when our children are gone, they all come together on that Founders Day, and then they are meeting themselves, they are doing meetings, that we become a nation. You can see that it's a lot of work, but let me tell you, we have made this available and made it easy for you to do. So I am going to invite you at this juncture to let you know and ask you, what will you be willing to do to change the trajectory of a family forever and raise a highly successful child? Africa of old collapsed by self-sabotage and greed. We must be different. That's why we call this the New African Tribe. That's what we have been sent to do. And so I'm going to say to you that we are presently opening the final slot for the year. We do 2 slots annually. We've done one, we've completed one. That's the one Yomi attended. If you want to learn some of these systems, we're going to take you through a 12-week session. Every week you are building one system, but after you have built the system in 12 weeks, you are in our community for 1 straight year, and you are attending monthly knowledge sharing session. They're going to handhold you and teach you what you need to master. Now, let me tell you, this is about the future, and no amount is too big to redirect the future of the nation. If I say to you right now, pay me 200,000 and I'll pray for you, and then I'll tell you things that cannot happen, and I all your children are going to turn around, you are going to pay me. But you see, we don't manipulate people here. We have results. It's been 24 years of working, and I know a whole lot of people have built. I mean, Desola can share a story with you, right? A lot of people have built this system. And so there are 2 options. You can do the silver plan or you can do the gold plan. Whichever plan you choose, the difference is in the materials you get. But you will still be in the class. You will still learn all the things you need to learn. So it can be 200,000 for silver plan, $135, which means you do 12 sessions, general group support and review. You have a workbook, and then you have 1 course given to you. If it's the gold plan, 12 the same sessions, general group support, workbook, 3 courses, 2 books, coaching support, and monthly reviews, right? You can choose the one that works for you. Click on the link. You can reserve your slot with 100,000 today, right? And so you can click on the link and sign yourself up for any of the slots. The most important thing is that you find yourself in class. You need to be there. We are creating the future. It's not another motivational stuff. You are going to be excavating what is eating. You are going to be healed. And you are going to learn how to effectively win your children over and create a script that can guarantee their success. It's been made very affordable. Now, if you are here, maybe you are saying, oh, you want to do a payment plan or something, they are going to drop a Calendly group. Maybe you want to have a conversation about a plan or something. You are the only one that should click on the Calendly group, Calendly link, so that you can talk to either me or some of my team members. But today, if you drop 100,000, you secure your slot. It's 200 for silver plan, is 500,000 for the gold plan, or $335, $135. Right. So let me say this to you before I bring back this one and I take your questions. If the future of your child, imagine the future of your child and Africa in 2050. By 2050, Africa, we have the world's largest workforce. That is what the projection is. That people will have cheap labor from Africa, and they're thinking about our children. If you live in the diaspora, what are you likely going to hand over to your children right now? Of course, not a conglomerate, because you are working for someone else. So you are showing your children the pattern of, go work for someone else. That's workforce. But we are adding right now that The future of Africa must also be filled with innovators and leaders. That our children must be able to become mayors, whether in Canada, whether they're in America. They must, in America today, I think we only have 2 African mayors, right? That's an aberration. That we are going to shift the base of power. So it's not just singing a song, we will rule the nation. Those are good. It's good to sing it, but where's the plan? We need to create systems from our family. Every African leader you don't like today emerged from a family. For us to create the future leaders, we need to be intentional with our family. So I hope I get to see you guys in class. Don't forget, this was where I started from. It is the era of the lawless, led by bullies, where what is right to many will be what is loud. An entire generation is about to be misled to their own doom because they are not grounded. The liberal ideology will be taken to an extreme where soul will take preeminence over the spirit. The lines are going to get blurry. Truth becomes tough to decipher. We are to raise a remnant of leaders. That's our charter right now. Your child inclusive, who can match strategy with the spirit. Children who becomes indispensable to global powers. Right? We must ignore gossip and bend down to work. It is time to put in the work as spirit. So I need you to go sign up to be in the next cohort, which starts almost immediately. Right? You can do the silver plan or the gold plan, but make sure you are in the class. If you want to have a conversation with us, click on the Calendly link. Right? And then before I bring this all back, how many of you am I seeing in class? Can you type hi? You are joining us in this movement. Can you type hi? Let me see you. Okay, fantastic. Shiloh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Shiloh. Where are the other people? Right? Manka, good to have you. Okay, Idoreye, Asuko, thank you. Okay, Shiloh, Shiloh, please click on the Calendly link and have a conversation with them. Yeah, that's the Calendly link. You will talk to them. Good, good, good. Kuma, Sulaiman, good to have you. And everyone else, I expect all of you to take advantage of this. See, ignorance, when people say that knowledge is expensive, I tell them try ignorance. Whatever it is, make sure you find yourself in that stream. Don't sleep on this. When I started out, I told you everything I've said will happen has happened, right? And so these days, I no longer even worry about some of these things, but I know that you are not going to sit in that class for yourself. You are sitting for generations unborn. You are sitting for your children's children. And so if you have any question you want to ask us, maybe you want some flexibility, click on the Calendly link and book a session. I will be talking to you, or anybody from my team will be talking to you. Take your objection, whatever challenges, and we'll help you resolve it. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session tonight. If you have questions, please feel free. I will take your question. But one thing is certain: if Africa is going to arise, it's not going to happen by political power. It's going to happen because parents decided to take responsibilities for the future. Thank you very much. God bless you. Desola, over to you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, PF. I felt the passion all the way from here. Thank you so much for always pouring out yourself the way that you do. As I said to us earlier, I said you are in for, and I didn't lie. Yeah, I didn't lie. And now you have been given an opportunity. You have been given an opportunity to take ownership of the future. All right. An opportunity to become a new ancestor. Okay. So I saw a few eyes. Yes. PF, a lot of appreciation in the chat. Well done. Well done, everybody. You are appreciative people. Yeah. And I love that for you. But like I was saying, there were a few eyes in the chat. I want to believe that the rest of us are getting on that train sooner rather than later. I hope the urgency with which PF spoke came through to you, because there is no time to waste. There is no time to wait and dilly-dally and say, well, what am I going to do? The question is, you have been given an opportunity. Are you going to grab it with both hands and take ownership of the future? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So I want to start seeing us registering. There's a link in the chat now. If you want to discuss a payment plan, you need to copy that link, I'm afraid. All right. Some people are trying to click on it. If you copy it and paste it in your browser, that should work. Okay. Are there any questions for PF other than payment plan, other than anything relating to the discussion that we've had today? If you want to have a conversation about payments, about registration, there are links in the chat. You can book a Calendly call. You can book. All right, I can see a question there. It won't copy. Okay, so admin, please look at that. PF, we have a question. How are we sure we will get the correct information about our history? I can answer this for you, but PF, I said you take questions. So
No, go ahead
uh,
and answer it. Go ahead and answer it.
how are you sure that you will get the correct information about your history when most of your grandparents and parents do not even know? Now, that's a good question. If the people that you can ask cannot answer, the question is, are you going to let that be a pattern going forward? If there has not been documentation in your family up until now, then you have an opportunity to chart a new course. And to be fair, you might be asking the people that you think have the answers. What if you broadened your search? What if you asked a few other members of the family and you put in that effort to dig a bit deeper? All right. I'm sure they will, except everybody has passed on up until now. Then you can say you don't have anybody to ask. But what if you approached it with enough curiosity to seek out those answers because it is critical? Like PF said, to go forward, we need to move backward. All right. PF, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, I mean, some of my people have died before as well. So what I did was look for the oldest man that is alive, and I started sending him some money ahead of time, right? I would just send him some gifts, and then one day I just called him. I said I wanted to know, can you just tell me some of the history? And then he told me, and that was it. So if whatever you're looking for, you will find eventually, right? If you're interested enough. I took a trip to Benin early in the year, which is the first time I will go there, maybe in like 20 years. And then I saw someone who is an oral translator of history in Benin. So I just had to tell him a little bit about myself. And immediately he told me, he said, you're a palace boy. Gave me the entire history. So you will, if you dig deep, you will always find, right? So that's what I'm going to recommend that you do.
All right, there you have it, Ewalua. Admin, are we able to post a proper link? Oh, okay. You can pick the link from the group chat. All right. So there's another question, PF. I've seen a video where children were taught that Eshu is not Satan, but they are children of Eshu, and they were holding a graven image. So is that not worshiping Eshu?
Okay, I'm not advocated for the worship of anything, right? What I've said, however, is that issue is not Satan. Satan is the deceiver. Satan is Lucifer, right? In the every nation has got their history. In the history of the Yorubas, the personality called Satan does not exist. In fact, it's a borrowed concept. And when it was borrowed, Yoruba started calling him as Shetani, right? Which is closest to Satan. In the that Yorubas have their own history of creation, of how Oduduwa or Obatala was sent and he got drunk and then his brother, Yorubas have that, right? And so everybody has got their history. I mean, I went to Greek. Greek also have their own version of the story. In your own Yoruba cosmopology, Satan did not exist as issue. If Satan had existed as issue, people won't be bearing they should be a should share for me, and which we are now changing to Jesus share for me and things like that, right? So it's proper to have the accurate history, right? But while now telling your children, for example, if you're a Christian family, that they serve the Lord Jesus Christ and God Almighty is the one they should worship and things like that. That's on you to. I would be offended if they start giving them things and but it's not out of place, and that's why Africans must normalize having museums, proper museums where history people can go and learn history. That's what we don't have, and so you now have all kinds of manipulated history out there. Yeah.
Thank you, PF. I think that the focus is on the positive. What can you learn? You're going on a fact-finding mission, all right? It's on also understanding that what historically people don't understand, they mystify. So it's to have that demystification and learn the actual facts. So like I said, it's about that curiosity. Okay, so it's not like PF said, it's not about worshiping one thing or the other. It's just trying to understand where you come from, okay? And understanding that sometimes things get distorted in history. Our history is mostly oral, it's passed from one person to the other, and there might be distortion. So it's for you to then seek out what is actually true and what can be corroborated, okay? There's a question about, okay, a lot of people from Edo State are royalty. It might have something to do with the popularity of the men in those days. But PF, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we are royalties basically because you're from, even if you're not from a royalty, your family has a specific thing that they have been assigned to do. For example, the if you go to Igun Street, for example, almost everybody in Igun Street are the ones who are the ones who build the sculpturing, and then they are the ones who do all these kind of things. Across various cultures, you have whether you're in South Africa or you are in Eswatini, there's something everybody's known for. Yes, you just need to figure it out.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Have we been able to click on that link? Is that sorted for us now? I hope we're filling that form. Bronze casters. Okay. Is that what they're known as? Yeah. The
Yes, the
people
bronze
who,
card. Okay,
yeah.
thank God. Sandra is here. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You are Edo as well, Obasoha. So you and PF
Yeah.
might actually be related.
She's my sister.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. I hope we have copied the necessary link. Somebody said, would they be able to watch a replay earlier? It is on YouTube. Okay, so
Yeah.
you can search for it and look for it on YouTube. Admin, can you post a phone number? If you
Yeah, they
can
have a phone
post
number.
a phone number, yeah, okay, there is a phone number there. If you can reach out to that number, I understand there's a WhatsApp group as well. If you We're having challenges with this link. Can the link be dropped in the WhatsApp group, please? So that we can, let me see if I can copy it. Because if I can do it, that means you can as well. So let me try. It's actually possible to copy it, all right? It's possible to copy it. If you check on YouTube as well, it will be in the comments. Or the description of the message so that you can reach out to us and lock down your spot. Okay? The materials you've had for today's session, what you will have is a replay. All right? You will find the replay on YouTube, on PF's page on YouTube. The link to the YouTube channel is on the chat as well. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, I'm looking to release PF now. I'm happy to hang back so that we can talk more and if we need more clarity. But I'm looking to release PF now. Are there any
Yeah.
questions?
I'm just going to say thank you, everyone who joined from every African country. I understand over 2,000 people registered for the webinar. We had about 170 people. Thank you. You need to understand that there's a clarion call. Everyone has got a right, regardless of the nation you are in. You may not have power right now. You may think, oh, you're not in power, you're not the president, but the next president can be scripted from your family, right? And Africa must stop thinking of microwave change. It's not going to work. The politicians know that they have a 30-year plan. We must begin to have a 100-year plan. But you see, what you feed your children with, the structure you build in your home, you may not be here, but you will watch maybe from heaven or from wherever, you would see that your children have become mighty on the earth. They've taken power and they are doing well everywhere they find themselves, right? So I look forward to seeing you guys. Ideally, everyone on this call should be in that class. You have no excuse at all. I mean, you have taken the test, you've taken the assessment, you see where you are. The question is, will it pass to the next generation or you are going to take responsibilities? Thank you very much. I love you all. One Africa. God bless you.
Thank you, PF. Thank you so, so very much. Thank you. And I'm speaking on behalf of everybody when I say you will be in class. Okay, so I've made a commitment on your behalf. All right, whatever it is, it can be worked around. Okay, book that clarity call. I hope we can copy it now so that we can book that clarity call and you can get some clarification on how you can be a part of this. Like we said, it is urgent. Okay, China is not waiting. All right. The world powers are not waiting. They are moving things along with speed. Africa needs to pick up the pace, and now. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for thanking me. That's very kind. Thank you. PF. What did you say was PF? PF is praise Fowowe. You said thank you, PF, and then you said, please, what's PF? That threw me a little bit. But PF is praise Fowowe. Okay. All right. Please book your sessions. Please register straight away. Okay. You can lock down your spot today with 100,000 naira, like PF said. Admin, if you want to convert that to dollars so that they can, get that slot booked down now, and then you can arrange to sort the rest out later. Okay, somebody asked when the next session will be. I wouldn't be asking that question if I were you. I will do it right here, right now. Okay, I will do it right here, right now. All right, like PF said, it happens twice a year. Next year is a long time. Next year is too long. All right, next year is too long. You need to get on this right away. Okay, all right. Okay, Sandra, do you want to call and see what can happen? Okay, I don't believe that anything is impossible. You just need to be asking the right questions. All right. You're welcome, Princess. You're welcome, Your Majesty. You're welcome. All right. Thank you all so much for attending today. We got nearly, to that 200 people mark. So well done. Well done for inviting people and for sharing. I look forward to engaging with you on that program as well. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to the number you have in the chat. Book that call so that you can get signed up. Okay, Sandra, please book that call and let's have a conversation. Okay. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Have an amazing